Yeah, I'm excited. I don't know if my head is going to be able to fit on the camera anymore because it's just going to, I'm so excited.
Welcome to Pack in Action. You've got Ashtyn Butuso here, not to be confused with Beavs starting guard Ashtyn AJ Marat, or Heisman favorite Ashtyn Genty, and Emma Weightman, not to be confused with anyone because she's one of a kind, folks.
Oh, please. I appreciate it, but it's not true. Although we do have a different tall blonde coming on the show later. So not that I would be confused with her, but I would understand two tall blondes.
Sure.
We're
Before
everywhere.
that, this show's going to be a little different. Today we've got a very special women's basketball show. We're going to talk about how the Pac-12 and the West Coast Conference will sort of fit in together this year, these next 2 years. We'll make sure to get all your burning thoughts and cues answered on that. But first, I woke up in a new Bugatti, and by Bugatti, I mean I woke up number 20. Washington State.
Yeah.
You are the 20th team in the country.
We are the 20th team in the country. What news to wake up to. I will say it made me look foolish because last week I was like, bye week, nothing's going to change. But I love being wrong when it's about that, when it makes it's all right in the world, you know?
Sure. Well, we're going to talk about the football games this coming weekend at the end of the show. But for now, we're going to take a break to talk hoops. So just like the men, Oregon State and Washington State are playing in the West Coast Conference this year. They're full participants, which means all their opponents will be West Coast Conference. I mean, not all, but their season opponents. They will play in the conference tournament as well. And just like the men's side, Gonzaga looks to be the powerhouse. Not a huge surprise. Gonzaga's a great program on both men's and women's. They're kind of looking like the powerhouse, ready to steal your candy like a high school kid on Halloween. Spooky. So new friends, new places. We're all learning together, but the season's already started. When the heck did that happen?
I don't know, except for apparently I do because it was November 4th. So here we are. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know how we got here. It just genuinely was so surprising. It kind of feels like when I walk into Target in October and there's Christmas decorations already. But I like it. For the men, for Washington State, we kicked off with a victory. I like that David Riley's squad dropped 100 in their first game. That made me excited. And the Beavs won too.
Yes. And for women's hoops, so far we have a Cougs victory. They defeated Eastern Washington. And the Beavs have only played an exhibition game, which we're just learning is a thing, apparently, against Westmont, which is also a thing, apparently. Not a school from a Disney Channel original movie, I guess. And that's sort of thing where the score of that game doesn't really count, like when kindergarten teams play and the kids really know the score and the parents are like, we're not going to say what the score is out loud.
Yeah, no one needs to know.
Yeah.
That reminds me of my kindergarten soccer experience, which my parents lovingly deemed as kick and scream because all we did was kick and scream. So if that's the bar for our basketball teams, I just feel like we're looking great.
Sure. We're going to know obviously more as the season goes on. But the coaches poll right now predicts that the Cougs will finish second on the women's side, which lit.
I would love to see it. And if it's one of those scenarios where I think that we're going to finish second and we actually finish first, that's even better. So, always prove me wrong in that regard. Our team right now has some big shoes to fill, which I would be remiss if I didn't mention. But I just have a soft spot for WSU women's basketball. They inspired my Go Cougs tattoo, which we have a photo of that we'll show on the screen here. And it's not AI generated. It is real. That is a real tattoo, even though I have red hair in the photo.
We do not support the use of AI.
We do not.
On the other side of the conference, the coaches poll has Oregon State picked to finish fourth, which is, all things considered, not the worst thing in the entire world after losing Talia von Oelhoffen, Tamea Gardner, Reagan Beers. I think 8 or more players left. The team was pretty much decimated. So we lost a lot of good women out there, but we got some really big transfers. Katarina Ferreira from Baylor, Lucia Navarro from Florida State, and Tiara Bolden from LaSalle. It seems like we've pieced together a pretty decent team. So now we just have to sort of see how the chips all fall and how they all mesh together. And that'll be like,
yeah. Are you looking forward to that?
I am looking forward to that. I'm not like you, I can't just be optimistic. I have to be. I don't want to reverse jinx. That's like my first thing.
Right.
So there's that. But
you've noted that fear before. That's a long-standing fear that we've discussed. Yeah.
Yeah. I for some reason feel like I have some say in the outcome of every single game, so I can't mess things up. So I got to stay tight-lipped. But yeah, I think we'll be okay. But how about the Cougs? How we feel?
Again, my curse is optimism. So I am feeling good. I really saw a lot in our first game against Eastern that I was excited about, that some were coining the cardiac Cougs. That's what I'm hearing, because I was a little stressed there, but they pulled it out. I have no doubt. I'm just such a champion for it. We had a big game. We had a big returner player, Estera Tuhina, who just absolutely nailed that last shot in overtime. So again, I just feel like everything is beautiful, and I've woken up to the first fall of snow, and the school is closed, and everything is beautiful and perfect. We're
really big on the similes today. We're like, this is like a kid stealing candy. This is like snow. Our high school English teachers are having a blast watching this right now.
I think they would be, except for I had a teacher who's a big Duck fan. So I don't know if he would be watching this, but that's okay. Good people make mistakes.
Yeah, that's what I'm told, but couldn't be me.
Anyway, obviously here at Pack in Action, we are still getting our bearings as this whole new world that Oregon State and Washington State are living in. And we got a little help last week from Matt Muhlenbach talking men's hoops, and that was great. But this week we are talking women's hoops with our new friend, Alyssa Charlston-Smith. That's coming up next.
25-14 advantage in the third quarter. This Cougs squad. Wallach wide open down low off the nice speed from Tahina. Wallach, extra pass to the corner. Villa for three. That time she cans it. Into Wallach. Abraham for three. Splash! Charlotte Abraham, the freshman coming through. Timeout Eastern Washington.
Welcome back to the show. As you saw, there's some lovely highlights from the Washington State victory over Eastern Washington on Monday night. Now we are welcoming Fox 13 sports reporter and Pac-12 analyst Alyssa Charlston-Smith. Alyssa, we are so happy to have you because we have a lot of cramming to do in regards to prepping for this season.
Don't we all? Staying up till like 1 a.m. It feels like I'm back in college. There's new teams, new faces, and especially with the transfer portal, NIL. There's constant change, but I'm really excited about this year's WCC and now Pac-12 combined.
Yeah, I feel like being informed has never been hard. It's like never been easier because there's you can read all day long about everything now, but also with NIL being like an informed sports fan, reporter, whatever it is just like the movement is insane.
Access, blessing and a curse.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the parity has been crazy. I think that's the coolest part is like you're not just having the stars go to UConn and South Carolina. I mean, you had Caitlin Clark at Iowa, you got Juju Watkins at USC, Kiki Iriafen at USC. Because I guess the pronunciation on her name changed. Kiki Iriafen is what we were used to, but I guess it's Kiki Iriafen. So note that.
Okay, thank you.
Not Pac-12 anymore, but yeah, just so national scale. It's just been so cool to see.
Yeah, still one to fear in a loving way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just because we're not playing you all the time doesn't mean I'm not intimidated.
No.
So, speaking of rosters, the Beavs haven't technically played a game yet, so I'm not sure where we're looking, like what our knowledge is there. But what can we expect for Cougs and Beavs based on their changed roster? I know we're switching around a lot here.
Yeah, well, starting with Oregon State, I mean, the Beavers are always good under Scott Rueck. He is a phenomenal coach. And last year, they were picked to finish 10th in the Pac-12. They finished 4th, and they went to the Elite Eight. Like, he always has size. He always has a really good disciplined defense. I think Cougs know that well. They've played against him years and years, and Scott Rueck is just a force to be reckoned with. And they have size that no one else in the WCC has. I mean, they've got Sela Hyde, who's 6'7". They've got Kelsey Reese, who's 6'5". The WCC is a smaller guard-heavy league. Not to say that there aren't really good post players, but there aren't many 6'5". Really, I can't think of any other 6'5", 6'6" players that get consistent minutes in the WCC. So Oregon State, they're going to be a juggernaut. I expect them, if they do well in their non-conference schedule, they've got UConn. I believe they've got other powerhouses. Miami. I mean, playing Gonzaga too is going to help. That's going to be a ranked team. Illinois, Arizona State, Minnesota. Those are conference, like, resume building potential games. So I really think they can get to the tournament if they really handle things in the non-conference and in the WCC. But look, it's going to be hard if you're playing Gonzaga potentially twice a year. Same thing with Washington State. I mean, we can get to them after that, but Oregon State is always a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah. Speaking of size, Ashtyn's heart just grew 3 sizes during that whole.
Well,
I don't know if you can see.
This year has been transition's been really tough for me. I was at the Elite Eight. I drove from New York City to Albany both days in a row to go to the Sweet 16 Elite Eight. That was like my favorite team, maybe in Beef's history. So it was like this has been a really tough pill to swallow. And so I was going to ask, just in terms of Scott Rueck, I mean, you sort of already spoke to it, but just knowing him, what's your understanding of his sort of like international strategy in terms of, I talked about this a little bit with the men as well, because both rosters are now just like all, international players, which is exciting and cool. And I'm intrigued by.
Yeah. Well, he's been a pretty good recruiter and developer of overseas talent. I think that even goes back to his George Fox days. Like, he's just such a good post developer as well. And I know losing 8 players, it is wild. And especially with Talia von Oelhoffen, like, such a star, such a Beaver true and true. And I know it was a weird off season, but, and Reagan Beers, like, I was kind of shocked that she went to Oklahoma too, to be honest. But I think what he's doing, what he's trying to do, if you get overseas players, there's a chance, you have a likelier chance, I think, that they're going to stay more than a year because they're already uncomfortable. They have to come all the way over without their family, without friends, and into a new country where they may not, that's probably not their first language, right? English. So I think there's a better chance you can probably get them to stay, especially with the kind of developer that Scott Rueck is. And you see, I mean, that court and the kind of Gill Coliseum, the kind of crowds they draw, I think he probably has a very good chance of getting that player or those players to fall in love with Corvallis. So I think there's just an easier chance of getting players to stay. And in this crazy world where you're just constantly having to be ready and re-recruit your own players. You're not just recruiting other players in the transfer portal. You're re-recruiting your own roster. It's wild.
Yeah. And then for Emma's sake, we got to hear about the same exact rundown, but for the Cougs.
I wasn't going to say it, but I was getting a little jealous.
I know. Well, honestly, I think you should be excited because listening to Camby Etheridge, she was like gushing about her team a week ago. And she was like, if I sound really happy, it's because I am. I know you lost Charlize Ledger-Walker. I know you lost Bella Muricatete, who's still trying to make it WNBA, was that kind of talent. And Charlize surprised me when I was on the phone with her before the Pac-12 tournament last year, saying that she is probably going to try to return and play college basketball another year. And I was thinking, oh, Cougs, like, they're going to get her back. And then goes to UCLA. So
once a Coug, always a Coug. Good. Very grateful for what she did for our program. But yeah, that one was an L for sure.
It was crazy, wild. Yeah. It's just these super teams are being built. But Cammy has what she thinks is the deepest team she's had at Washington State. And I know a lot of coaches say that, and like, you don't know whether to believe it or not, but she also said that she's got a player from France, Diana Mendez, who could be the best player to ever play at Washington State. She's got a long-term injury right now. I don't know how long-term that means, if it's like just the preseason or maybe it's just a 4 or 5 game stint, but I'm really excited to see her get on the court. You've got LA Villa, and I think Cammy said she came back as an even better player than she was last year. She's got all the confidence. She just, coming from Italy, she wasn't super fluent in English. She's gotten better there, and she was just such a lovable player. But she can do literally everything. And then Tara Wallach, I think it's going to be her best season as the only senior. But this team is way more versatile from what it sounds like. And Cammy said in the past, we've only been able to play one way, and that's smaller, finesse, basically try to take advantage of the bigger teams. Well, now they are that bigger team. They've got more size, more depth coming off the bench. And she thinks they're going to be a way better 3-point shooting team. way more accurate. And so, I don't know, listening to Cammie, I was like, uh-oh, go buy her season tickets. Like, I know there's a lot of change. I know Charlize Ledger-Walker is gone, but you're not relying on one player to score 20 points and not always an efficient 20 points because she was getting double and triple teamed.
Yeah, I'm excited. I don't know if my head is going to be able to fit on the camera anymore because it's just going to, I'm so excited. So I am in Seattle. I know you're local to Seattle as well. Is it just a dream come true to be able, because you're from this area, right?
Yeah, yep.
So is it just so exciting to be able to be back home reporting on the teams around here?
Oh, it's so fun. I mean, I got really lucky. When I came back from playing overseas, I didn't know what I really wanted to do. I thought I wanted to get into nutrition. But then I got a message from someone I had interned with at KXLY in Spokane. So I got to start in Spokane, which was close to home, close to where I went to play basketball at the University of Idaho. Go Vandals. And then I got to, my next jump was here in Seattle. And it's like all these teams that I grew up watching, except for the Kraken, because I'm not a Gen Z or I'm not like fresh out of the womb. But seeing all these teams and like covering the Seahawks and like doing post-game interviews and still getting to do college basketball, it's been so fun. Because I'll tell you, I was kind of passed over by UW because they weren't recruiting my style of player. So I was like a little bitter toward the Pac-12 for a little bit, but I knew how good they were. But they were going for like defense at the time I was being recruited, and I'm not accused of playing defense. So
this is a safe space for that bitterness, I will say. Yeah, this is a safe space.
You guys
for
are
that.
making me feel comfortable.
I'm so glad. How tall are you?
6'1". I honestly think
cool.
I might have grown since college too.
Oh,
Like,
okay, that's
telling me.
exciting.
Flex.
Either that or the Air
That's
Force
fun.
Ones. I don't know. You guys wear Air Force Ones because those give you like a solid inch and a half of height.
Yeah. Well, and I have boots that I'm 5'11", so they gave I have
Oh.
boots that give me a couple inches as well. So
There you
pretty
go.
fun.
You're
Ashtyn
6'1".
And I'm 5'4",
Yeah, I try.
so that's
Incredible.
cool too.
A guard.
Yeah,
There you go.
You're a
I play
PG.
defense.
Every team needs a PG.
There
There you go.
Yeah.
I don't. Perfect.
So where do you like to go do in Seattle? What are the hot spot? What are your faves? What's your go-tos?
Well, I moved away from Seattle like 6 months ago, but I loved being in Queen Anne. Queen Anne, there's so many good restaurants. Toulouse Petite. There's so many good taco spots, like fresh taco spots.
Don't say that. I'm in New York and there's no Mexican food here.
None?
It's so frustrating.
In New York?
No, isn't
That's
that crazy?
devastating.
Don't
thought
even
they'd
get
have
me started
literally
on
everything.
this. I know. It's the one thing they don't have.
Wow.
It's insane. They put like peas and mayo and corn and carrots. It's a crime. I'm
Mayo?
telling you. Mayo.
Hold on. In a taco.
Yeah.
And
It's
peas?
a crime. Peas. These
That
are all
sounds
real.
like
You need to move.
It happened to me. I lived it. Yeah.
Okay, I got one more question. So, squirt gun to your head. We're appropriate here. How many teams does the WCC get into the tourney?
Oh, I love this question. I'm going to go 3. I know that sounds wild, but
That's very
Gonzaga
exciting.
always wins the regular season. Like, and I kind of expect Gonzaga to win the regular season again this year because they have a lot of depth and returners. I don't know. Maybe not on that one. And it could be Oregon State just because they've got so much size. But then the Cougs too. I don't know. Those 3 teams, I expect one of them to win the regular season. So you've got the last 3 times in the last 5 seasons, 2 teams have gone because Portland keeps beating Gonzaga in the WCC tournament championship. So they get the automatic bid, but Gonzaga has built enough of a resume in the non-con where they're beating teams like Stanford and they're beating big teams to where they have the resume to go to the tournament. So if you have teams like Oregon State, like we mentioned, with a crazy resume, if they can take care of non-con, and then Washington State, Oregon State plays UConn. If they have a measuring stick game and they're right up there until the end, that's a huge resume builder. A ton of other games. Washington State plays Iowa. They play other former Pac-12 foes. You build up that resume. You finish in the top 3. Look, I think one team is going to win the regular season. I don't think that team is going to win the tournament championship. So you've got those 3 top teams, and I can't count out Portland because Portland is a tournament team. Like, they love playoff time. Michael Meek is a really good coach. So I'm going to say 3, 1 automatic bid, and then 2 as just really good resume teams to get in.
Okay, well, that's legally binding, so thank you for that. Alyssa, where will we see you this year, and where can everyone follow you?
All right. Well, so this weekend, Sunday, I'll be on the call for the Washington State women's basketball game against Idaho, my former alum, but I will be unbiased, I swear.
That's tough.
And then also on the men's game, Idaho versus Washington State on Monday, November 11th. And then I'll be on games throughout the season for Washington State, one for Oregon State. And then Fox 13 Seattle, here in Seattle. You catch me talking about all things and always putting in Pac-12 and WCC coverage throughout the season.
Cool. Amazing. Well, we will be watching, of course. Thank you so much for hanging out with us, and we will definitely have you back on the show soon.
Please. Thank you, guys. This is fun.
Welcome back to Pack in Action. Alyssa was so great. Let's shout her out for her very informative look at what's to come. We all feel very confident we could go to our local Knoxville watering hole and talk Pac-12 WCC all day long. By the way, we did learn the name of the mystery Knoxville bar that had our show on television. Sevier or Sevier Avenue Burger. I don't know if it's French or not. Don't want to offend, but we do need to shout them out.
Yeah, a little road trip maybe. A little
Road trip.
action.
You
Pack
pick me up.
an action road trip.
You drive. I can see the graphic now. You drive over, pick me up. We go down to Knoxville.
I think my 2015 Subaru Forester can handle that journey with ease.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah.
Vroom, vroom, Subaru. Okay, so
exactly.
like the sands through an hourglass, these are the football games this weekend of our lives. That's a Days of Our Lives reference for those who don't know. So we've got Wazoo versus Utah State, which seemingly is a layup for the Cougs. Of course, you never know with college football. Utah State ranks second to last in all of college football in total defense and scoring defense. So, like,
yeah, I mean, yeah, from your mouth. I will say overall, Utah State is 2-6. So I'm excited for the game because I'm going to the game, and I'll be at the men's basketball game on Friday, and I'll be at the women's basketball game on Sunday. So one might really say I'm packing the action this weekend. It's gonna be Pullman it up. I'm so excited. But yeah, speaking of me moving, not moving all the way to Pullman, but moving just across the state temporarily, Utah State has some ball moving abilities. That's what the rumors are saying.
A really
Do you
good
like my
segue.
segue? Thank you. I thought you'd like it. But so it's my instinct. We are a superstitious show, as we've established, not to discount them. Although, as you so accurately pointed out, Washington State is pretty heavily favored. So
yeah.
And the Beavs?
And Oregon State is playing San Jose State. Main story for me here is Nick Nash, San Jose State receiver, has 12 tutties already this season. Scary for us. Current OC Ryan Gunderson recruited and coached Nick Nash when he was a quarterback for the Spartans. Fast forward to now, he's one of their top targets and a scoring machine, I guess, allegedly. So it will be interesting to see how all of that shakes out.
Yeah, we know that guy. We know Gundy. I think before the season, we were all assuming that this game wouldn't necessarily be one that Oregon State needed to be anxious about. But then San Jose State beat Nevada, and then they kind of ran us really hard. So I just, us being the Cougs. So I just am not sure. And then your quarterback race is back open, isn't it? The Beavs quarterback race.
Yep. We're keeping an eye on that. We're staying tuned. And depending on how things go, we'll either be here as shoulders to cry on next week or shoulders to be hoisted upon when we're celebrating 2 gigantic wins.
Yeah. And I mean, we have a preference of which shoulder you'll use for, happiness or sadness, but they are available to you in either form.
Yeah, of course. And that's really all we've got for you this week, folks. So stay in school, stay out of trouble, and we'll see you back here next week for more Pack in Action.